When's your birthday? I know, but when? September. I got that part.
Hello. Thank you for being here. Unfortunately, don't keep talking for a little while. We'll dive into presentations here. But I will go ahead and say we went ahead and reserved this room for some extra time at the end. Understand some of y'all have places to go, things to do, but you're welcome to stick around, continue the great conversations I've already heard, make new connections, all that good stuff. So thank you again for being here. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Cameron Clark. I'm the Sustainability Coordinator for Student Programs here at Davidson College. For many of you, that also means I'm the person that emails you too much. So I'm sorry about that, but not sorry not to stop. I also made that joke like 3 times, so I'm sorry for that. I don't think I'm breaking any news when I say sustainability can be a heavy, even a depressing topic. Not always, but it can, especially when you're a student learning about some of these issues for the first time. But what I love about the Sustainability Scholars Program is it provides 2 tools to combat that feeling of overwhelm. And those tools are inspiration and gratitude. I wish everyone could experience what the scholars and I get to experience over the course of the summer. Tried to include some photos so you got a little glimpse into these Friday field trips we go on. But those incredible field trips, service days, and conversations with a huge variety of people. Since that isn't possible, I want to take a few minutes to recognize some of the individuals and groups that I feel grateful for and inspired by this year. To begin, I'm grateful to our donors and inspired by their trust and belief in our work. Donors like Elizabeth Lusk, Davidson College class of 1985, who's here with us today. Thanks for coming, Elizabeth. Now, many of you have been participating in this program for a while, so you've heard us say for multiple years that we're looking for long-term funding. And to be clear, if you've got a lead on funding, we still want to hear about it. But this year, we are excited to share that Elizabeth has helped us establish an endowed fund to support the Sustainability Scholars Program, the Elizabeth L. Lusk 85 Sustainability Scholars Fund. Thank you so much. Elizabeth is too humble to brag on herself, so I just want to say how special it has been to connect with her. To hear about her career path, first in forestry, and then as an environmental manager with the North Carolina Department of Transportation. So there's some of you that are making connections about, I want to talk to her. And to see the connections between her experience and the skills sustainability scholars develop. We are incredibly grateful for her support and the support of all of our donors. Some other friends of Davidson Sustainability are joining us remotely today. Hello, remote folks. Hello to Sam and Diane Glasgow. Thank you for establishing the class of 1964 Sustainability Special Projects Endowed Fund. This funding will allow us to flexibly support emergent opportunities to build students' capacity as change agents and contribute to a culture of sustainability. Their contribution represents the leadership of one generation and investing in future generations' ability to build a better world. So let's hear it for Elizabeth, Sam, and Diane, and all of our donors. I'm also grateful for our community partners and inspired by their commitment to both mission and supporting young professionals. This includes community partners hosting a scholar, you see them up here, organizations like Clean Air NC and WFA who continue to find creative and collaborative ways to serve the community despite grants and federal funding being called back. It also includes community partners who met with us during our Friday programming. People like CT Anderson, or CT Digital, and her organization Spring Clean, which is a nonprofit dedicated to textile reuse and reducing textile waste and landfills. And organizations like The Bowl, where's Elizabeth? There's Elizabeth. So Elizabeth is a board member and Davidson alum with The Bowl, which is reducing food waste while bringing fresh produce to food insecure communities. So let's, everybody who either hosted a scholar this summer, your organization hosted a scholar, or hosted a Friday visit, will you put up your hands? I'm grateful for our Davidson College colleagues and inspired by their willingness to collaborate. This includes faculty who sent students our way, administrative staff who helped us with renting vans or paying stipends, communicators, fundraisers, and a whole host of folks who collaborated on the program. So Davidson College staff or faculty, will you all raise your hands? Thank you, Davidson College. And finally, I'm grateful for our alumni and inspired by the work they were doing in the world. Alums like Katie Moreau, a leader at Cummins Cummins Incorporated, who has helped drive their commitments to sustainability forward and who took time to Zoom with our students last week. And like Rainey Greer, where's Rainey? Here she is. A 2023 scholar who just graduated this past May, but already led us on a hike with in her new role with the Catawba Lands Conservancy. So raise your hand if you're a Davidson College alum in the room. Got some double dips too. Nice. Let's hear it for our alums. All right, I have one final plug, and then I promise I'm going to turn it over to the folks who are actually here. See? In fall 2026, we plan on hosting a sustainability affinity reunion on campus, along with our colleagues in environmental studies and Davidson Outdoors. Among other things, we will be celebrating 15 years of sustainability scholars at Davidson. This will be an exciting opportunity to bring together Davidson alumni, students, faculty, staff, and local partners. So be on the lookout for further communication soon. With that, I'm excited to introduce the 2025 Sustainability Scholars. These upcoming presentations are intended to be a quick glimpse into their work and takeaways for the summer. We won't have time for questions during presentations, but as I said earlier, we do have the room reserved. Highly encourage you to come ask them your most difficult and in-depth questions afterwards, chat with them, ask them about our Fridays, all that good stuff. And thank you again for coming. I hope you walk away feeling inspired by this impressive group of young professionals. With that, welcome Emily.
Okay, hi everybody. Thank you, Cameron, for introducing us, and thank you all for coming. This has been such a wonderful summer. This is a stellar group of people to be telling about it. So, to start with, I'm Emily. I'm class of 28, environmental science and English, double major, respectively. And this summer, I interned with the town of Davidson's sustainability manager, Kayla. And it was absolutely stellar. I'm excited to be telling you more about it. So with the town, I worked on a lot of different very, very cool projects this summer, but my two main ones were designing some programming for a summer camp that'll happen later this summer, and doing a lot of review of the town's climate action plan, which were just very cool to be involved in. So a little bit more about County Camp, as we dubbed our programming. This year, the town of Davidson is piloting a program where they're going to teach some kids about sustainability through one of their summer camps. And I was in charge of designing the presentation that the kids will see and planning activities for them, doing a lot of research about sustainability in Davidson and more generally that they'll learn about. So hopefully that'll give the kids who participate in this program a better sense of what it means to be a sustainable citizen in Davidson, how can they compost here, where did the recycling go, etc. But also it'll help the town get a better sense of is this program something they want to do in the future? So that was a lot of fun to work on and be involved in. And then to shift from that kind of creative work to something more data-driven, the town's climate action plan, if you're not familiar with it, it's this incredible set of climate goals for the town, including carbon neutrality by 2050. But in order to be on track to meet those goals, there are a lot of little details that need to be kept track of meticulously. So I was in charge of pulling together a lot of data about the town's up here. You can see our waste outputs, energy and lighting, energy usage, and pulling together all that information in a way that's hopefully a little more comprehensible, a little more useful for the town, both specifically for Kayla's annual report on the climate action plan, but also more generally to see how are we doing, what do we need to change, where are we going from here. So it was really incredible to be a small part of that very big project. And through those projects and the other work I did, I learned so much about sustainability that it was hard to pick just one thing to kind of reflect on for this presentation. But I think the coolest part of my professional experience was all the incredible people I've met this summer. I met so many, up here you can see some of the Undertown employees and the people I met through our scholars programming and outings with Kayla, that we're all just so excited to welcome me into this sustainability space. They were like not only passionate about the work they were doing, but also like passionate that I wanted to be part of it. And it really made me feel like I have a place in this world and a place in this field. I'm very grateful for that. And as much as I learned about that like wonderful professional scene and this sustainability space, I also learned a lot about like being a young adult this summer, like cooking for myself, making a meal plan, and like most importantly, I learned what to do when you're about 200 miles from home and your car breaks down for about a month. So this is a figurative representation of me learning to get around Charlotte and Davidson in very literally new ways. I learned a lot about public transportation, learned a lot about being humble and asking for rides. And between those two like experiences of literally physically getting around Davidson in new ways, and also just like more professionally and personally connecting with so many cool people here, I feel like my world this summer has really expanded from just Davidson College to include the town of Davidson and the wider surrounding area. So I'm so grateful to Kayla and Cameron and Nancy for making that possible, and to everyone who contributed to that, and to all of you for listening about it. So please come ask me if you have any further questions, and thank you all for listening.
Hi everyone, my name is Stella Mackler. I'm an environmental science major at Davidson, and I'm about to start my senior year, which is slightly more intimidating than public speaking. So this summer I interned at WFAE, which is the public radio station in Charlotte. My primary project throughout my internship was, I'd say, like expanding on the environmental coverage that the station does. I worked one-on-one with their environmental reporter, Zachary Turner, sitting right there. And it was a really cool opportunity to learn more about the world of sustainability in Charlotte and the environmental issues the city is facing. One of the first stories I did was on an organization that another scholar is working at, which was super cool. We'll talk more about that later. But these are some of my favorite stories that I did. These are some of the headlines and some of the pictures that I took. And something that was interesting about my experience was I got to explore Charlotte, but I also got to cover issues in Davidson. Like these two pictures were taken in a woman's home just across the street from me at Junkins in West Davidson. And this was a story I did on Hurricane Helene relief out in Clyde. So super cool. I got to do a lot of different things. And I also learned a lot about audio storytelling, which I'd never done before. This was me in the studio one day, but I learned how to use all the technology in the station. I learned how to do field reporting, which was super cool. So going out with my microphone. This was one of my stories just on the homepage, which I was really excited about. And one of the highlights of my experience definitely was getting on the national newscast at NPR. One of the stories that I did, I pitched a shorter version to it to NPR, and it was on the 6 p.m. Monday evening newscast one week. That was super exciting. And that opportunity, that achievement, I think is really emblematic of the culture at WFAE. It's very collaborative. I didn't go into it thinking like, oh, I want to be on NPR. One of my coworkers was like, hey, I've been thinking about this story that you did last week. Would you be interested in pitching it? And I was like, oh my God, absolutely. So it was super cool. And being in a smaller organization, everyone is always looking to help you. And I just thought that was super emblematic of the experience I've had the whole time I was there. And I just wanted to play this little bit.
For NPR News, I'm Stella Mackler in Charlotte.
Yeah, so that was
For NPR News,
and one thing I've been reflecting on a lot recently is that I really like the public radio model. I didn't know anything about it before my internship, but I really like the duality of getting to experiment with audio storytelling and the creativity behind that, but also getting to focus on writing as well, because all of our stories are also published in a written format online. And this is a map of just all the public radio stations in the country, which I thought was really pretty. But it was very surreal to be having this experience at the same time that the federal funding was rescinded for the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and all the public radio stations in the country. So it was super eye-opening to just be at WFAE and see how they responded to that situation, see how they've been coping with it. And it's given me a lot to think about as I move forward post Davidson and kind of the principles I want to align myself with and kind of the missions of the organizations that I want to work for. So yeah, and the last thing I have to say is thank you to Zach and Eli for this super awesome experience, and that you should listen, read, or stream. You can do it on an app, WFAE. This is just a QR code to the website. And support your local public radio stations. If you're not from Charlotte, like I'm from Atlanta, I grew up listening to WABE. But they're really important and have provided me with an incredible learning opportunity. And thank you.
More to y'all, or I don't know more anymore. Hello, thank y'all for being here. So if you do not know me, I'm Tyler McKnight. Class of 2027, so going into my junior year, environmental science major, and this summer I worked with the city of Charlotte. So 2 days out of the week I took a bus up to the government center, and 2 days I worked remote. So my projects for the summer, my main one was working on composing the CDP, or Carbon Disclosure Project. It's like a platform where like cities, or I guess even different regions, different countries, they kind of get to report on like how they've been managing the environmental impact, and I guess in a sense like how sustainable they are. And then my second project was Charlotte every 4 years makes like a greenhouse gas emission inventory. So although I didn't get to do much on it, I was supposed to help with assessing like maybe if they should move to making it an annual report instead of an every 4-year report. So yeah. So what specifically was I doing? The spreadsheet is, I guess it's my left, y'all's right. It's a greenhouse gas emission inventory. So that's kind of what it looks like. And then the other thing is like a little glimpse into what like the CDP reporting platform looked like. But a lot of it is like gathering data from like our partners with the city of Charlotte and kind of updating different information based on like, you know, if say Charlotte released a plan for a project they were doing, and then say they reported the plan last year, but then this year they actually went through implementing it. You know, I had to help with updating that stuff. And I guess the whole point of it is really just like being transparent with, you know, what the city's doing, making sure that we're being just with, you know, the things that we're saying we're doing, and not just kind of giving, you know, saying what sounds good, but not doing that. Learned a lot this summer. First of all, like what it looks like working in the government sector, and kind of like how sustainability kind of functions from a government perspective. And also it kind of, I guess, changed my view on like how government work functions, in a sense that I always thought like it's kind of militaristic in a sense, like, you know, maybe you just kind of do whatever you're told and your work isn't meaningful. But couldn't find out like my supervisor, Mr. Aaron over here in the green, like one of his projects is implementing solar panels in low-income communities, which I don't know, usually implementing solar panels isn't super cheap, but I guess it's kind of cool to see that like even if you want to make an impact in your work, you can still do so, you know, even working in like a government agency. Another one of my coworkers, Miss Robin, she's not here. One of her projects is also helping to create like surfaces that are reflective of sunlight to put around the city, because Charlotte has a problem with overheating with different surfaces like on roofs and on roads. So I think that stuff is pretty cool that like people can have their own, I guess, initiative, or not initiative, like their own agendas that they can implement into their work and it can still be meaningful. And then also just how this all kind of overlaps. I've gotten to meet people in various different departments in the city. I got to take a day and just drive around the city with like our landscape management lady in the city, and it's just been awesome to meet people from all sorts of different departments. And also how important communication is. I learned about how to communicate and how it works, I guess, in the professional world. For a good bit of the summer, I struggled with getting my work done because I wasn't good at communicating and like scheduling meetings with people. But I don't know, I think it's a pretty important skill beyond what I did this summer. And it made work a whole lot easier once I kind of figured it out. And also, it's okay to make mistakes, because when I came in, I was kind of dumbfounded. I didn't know what was going on. This is my first internship, but had a lot of mishaps, but it's okay because I learned from them, and now I've grown from them. And also, thank you, Mr. Aaron, and for all of you for coming to listen to me talk. And thank you, Ms. Yancey and Cameron, for the Sustainability Scholars Program. It's been awesome this summer.
Hi everyone, my name is Sammy and I'm also a rising junior this year. I'm an English major, and this summer I was lucky enough to be able to intern with the North Carolina Science Trail. We're an organization that's focused on connecting people to science in Charlotte. My wonderful supervisor Michelle likes to refer to it as the Bourbon Trail of Science. But the shtick I like to give is that if you're going to go to the Discovery Place Science, you'd probably like to go to the Raptor Center or the Sullenberger Aviation Museum. And we connect all 108 of our partners into one central location, so you can find all the science happenings around Charlotte. My main project this summer was a campaign against pollinator loss, and that involved outreach in three main ways. We did a farmer's market here in Davidson, and that was just a blast. I spent a lot of blood, sweat, and tears making this pollinator matching game, so it's displayed there for an appropriate second appearance. And the hallmark of my project this summer, which I feel like is the most science trail component, is our scavenger hunt, which is live now, and I have lots of free QR codes if you want to come afterwards and like learn about pollinators. But that's posted all around Davidson campus, and a lot of that's also important to connect people to science in Charlotte, and especially in the Davidson community. It's a lot of what I was trying to do this summer was educate people about science at large in North Carolina, but also locally in their communities. And a part of the Farmers Market project, and also a separate project in and of itself, is my Native Seed Packet project. We have stations located at Summit Base Camp in Davidson and also at the public library with some proper signage and some info about starting your own pollinator garden. And these are all for the North Carolina natives, just in case you're wondering. The science trail at large, though, my main roles included social media and blogging. Social media was kind of a challenge for me. Clearly, digital design is not my strong suit, but I've been working to kind of also foster that connective experience in social media. Clearly, I just wanted to include myself in there, but also pictures just from our partners and specific pictures special to their products. Excuse me. And blogging has been the most fun for me as an English major. It's been unique to try and talk about science from someone who's not very science oriented. And I was lucky enough to be able to take a lot of field trips this summer. These are not all of my field trips, some are still in the works, and write about them, like with Sullenberger Aviation Museum and the Carolina Raptor Center. And that's been an amazing experience to not only learn how to not just write in an academic voice, but also to get to just work on myself. That's been really fun. My lessons learned for
professional and personally. Networking I struggle with. I'm a very introverted person, and it's not super easy for me to strike up conversations, especially with science professionals. And something that I learned this summer, it doesn't have to be so hard. I was lucky enough to meet with the marketing director of the Discovery Play Science, and actually I found out she was a reporter in the hometown where I grew up. And so that was a really big, important experience to show me that, I don't know, sometimes it can be like making friends, but just like professionally, just can't like curse and things like that. But personally, clearly, I like to take a lot of pictures of myself, so it's not a stretch to call myself a narcissist. But feedback is something that I've learned has been really helpful, and it's not hard to apply whenever feedback makes your work better. And especially blogging, I've learned that it's a collaborative experience, even when it's as small an organization as the Science Trail, and just honoring the science that we're talking about while also reaching all different types of audiences. I want to say thank you to all the people that have helped me so hard so much this summer, including Michelle, including all my cohort, as well as Yancy and Cameron. Thank you so much. You have to go visit the Science Trail, northcarolinsciencetrail.org, to learn all about science in Charlotte, and come see me afterwards for some free goodies.
Hi everyone, my name is Taft, and this summer I was an intern with Clean Air and Sea. So if you don't know Clean Air and Sea, it's a nonprofit based in Charlotte, and they advocate for cleaner air across North Carolina. And the air, that is not a spelling mistake, stands for Action and Innovation to Restore the Environment. And Clean Air and Sea does this through its 5 primary programs, that is advocacy, education, community science, health, and environmental justice. So this summer, I was interning under the community science program, and my primary project was data analysis. So this was a whole process. So I started with speaking with community. So I was looking at specific environmental justice communities and trying to understand, okay, what are some of your pollution concerns in the area, but also how can I design this tool so that it is most efficient and you can get the most out of it. And then the next stage was brainstorming and sketching. So this was just kind of to get me understanding what did I want this final product to kind of look like. And then the next part, the fun part that was really long, was all the coding. So I used Java, HTML, CSS, those languages, and then also the D3 Java library. And then I ended it off with users testing. So staff from Clean Air and Sea helped me test out this visualization. So kind of just expose any flaws that I couldn't see as a designer, but also just seek any additional ideas just for improvement of the tool. So these were the visualizations I came up with. What I really like about them is that they're interactive. So we're planning to show these to our air keepers, and these are our residents who actually host the air sensors and help us collect data. So because they're interactive, it really empowers these air keepers so that they can discover the trends themselves. It's not just Clean Air and Sea telling them, this is what your air quality is. We're saying, this is the data, what do you see? And then I also really just enjoyed it because it was a direct combination of my environmental studies major with my computer science minor. And then a professional event that really helped me grow this summer was attending the Sampson County advocacy training. So Sampson County is a pretty rural county in North Carolina, and there are a lot of CAFOs, concentrated animal feeding operations in that county. And these, farms, they have a really negative impact on air quality and thus health. So it was really great to see what environmental justice actually looks like in the real world, instead of me just learning about it through an article. I kind of understood more, how do people organize? How do they talk about these issues and stuff? And then also just understanding the next step of Clean Air and Sea's work. It's not just about data collection, it's about empowering people so that they can make change themselves. All right, and then some personal growth this summer. I think a big thing was networking, understanding that, professionals, they love to share their career paths and more about themselves. but also that they want to learn more about me. And I think that was really encouraging. And I'll definitely be doing some more reaching out in the future. And then another big thing was just learning to take care of myself, learning to cook, making a budget. I also tried to grow a tomato, as you can see there, but unfortunately it did not yield any fruit, which sucked. But it's still a great experience. And then, yeah, I just want to shout out my supervisor, Daisha, and then all the rest of the staff at Clean Air and Sea. You guys are all so amazing and supportive. I really appreciate you guys.
Hi everyone, I'm Sean. I'm a rising sophomore at Davidson and a prospective economics major. And I interned at Energy United, which is an energy cooperative that takes care of energy distribution for much of rural Mecklenburg County. And it basically means that their job is to make sure their members can get the cheapest and most effective energy possible. Two of my primary projects were working on their community solar program and their thermostat program. So with community solar, basically they give members the option to help fund a solar farm in order to help contribute to renewable energy. And in exchange, the members get renewable energy credits that are made from basically producing renewable energy and then selling said credits to other companies that need them. So basically what's been happening is that the company itself had been paying too much money with these renewable energy credits, costing the company money and possibly putting this program at risk. So I helped adjust the rates for our community solar program to make sure that this program remains sustainable for the company and for the customers. And then I also worked on the thermostat program, where basically Energy United had been giving people credits to opt into letting Energy United adjust their thermostats to reduce energy usage. However, this program had been costing the company like tens of thousands of dollars. So obviously it wasn't very efficient from a business standpoint. So I basically proposed to the executive board that we eliminate this program and instead divert our resources and funds to different sustainability efforts. And for both of these programs, I basically mostly worked in Excel and PowerPoint to build pitch decks. And then my biggest project, my most fun project, was working on an Energy United company report. So for this project, not only did I have to talk to people within my own office, but also had to explore the entire company itself. And Energy Cooperative is pretty big organization because you have to have people who are on the ground and you also have to have people who are in the office doing behind the scenes work. So that meant that I had to meet with people who take care of maintenance, people who take care of putting in lines, people who take care of mapping, basically almost the entire company. And I took all their suggestions together and formed a report to help improve Energy United's sustainability methods and also help improve just general issues of the company. And with these recommendations, Energy United hopes to, build a more sustainable and efficient future for the company. And from this program, I've learned a couple things. So I've learned that solar, although it is a good source of renewable energy, it's not quite as effective as people make it out to be. And if you are going to use solar, you do need alternative energy sources. And that's a whole entire other issue that I can't really explain in like a 4-minute presentation. So if you have more questions, you can come to me later. But another thing that I learned is that with solar, a lot of issues come up with people being like, well, I like the idea of renewable energy, but I don't want this giant solar farm in the middle of my backyard. So a big issue with that is land management. And I actually learned about land management through my Sustainability Scholars program. We did a Friday field trip to the Urban Land Institute, where basically we learned about how to efficiently use space to make sure that we have as much space for citizens and also for business development as possible. And so with this knowledge, I actually gained pretty good insight into how we can place solar panels so that not only do we have enough solar panels to have energy for our customers, but we also avoid angry customers. So thank you for listening to my presentation. If you have any questions, you can email me or call me. And I'd also like to thank the people who run Sustainability Scholars, Cameron and Nancy. And I'd like to thank Energy United for giving me the opportunity to explore their company. Thank you.
Hi guys, my name is Mimi. I am a summer intern with Bikewalk NC, a nonprofit that advocates for safe bicycle lanes and walking paths for pedestrians across North Carolina. And so when all the other scholars are waking up early at 6 or 7 a.m. to drive or catch their buses to Charlotte, I simply just have to wake up and click on this beautiful Zoom link that takes me to the daily bike walk meetings at 9 a.m. Working remote, I get to enjoy slower mornings with a cup of English breakfast hot tea and a view of Davidson's beautiful campus from Armfield Residence Hall. And before I proceed with my presentation, I just want to show my appreciation to my lovely internship supervisor, Terry Lansdale, for even making this possible for me at all. My two primary projects includes conducting street interviews as part of the Bike Walk Mythbusters video series, in which I hit the street of Davidson town with my $3 mic from Amazon and a mission. And my second project is to design the zine credit, or the zine project on full credit transportation funding on Canva. The multiple choice questions for the street interviews were taken from Bike Walk's bicycle safety quiz, which can be found on their website, bikewalknt.org. And after you complete the quiz, you can email yourself a certificate of completion. And here's a QR code if any of you guys are interested. And so this is like an example of what I did so you guys get the vision. Hi guys, it's me. I am a summer intern with Bike Walk North Carolina. Come with me to see how much Davidson Town really knows about bicycle safety facts. Let's go. Oh, I see a girl sitting over there. I think I'm going to interview her. Hi, what's your name? How are you? Hi, I'm Yana. How's it going? Do you have like 1 minute of your day to interview with us? Sure thing. Rank how visible these cyclists are to motorists at intersections. For most of these visible, what do you think? Look at this photo.
I would say 2 is like seems like pretty visible, and then maybe 1, 4 is like next, and 3 is the least visible.
That is right. Congratulations. That's correct. I have a few presents for you. If you want to follow our organization on Instagram,
Yeah, of course.
yes, that's the one.
Nice. I'll follow.
Thank you, Bike Walk. You're riding on roads with a moderate amount of traffic moving 30 miles per hour. You want to move left before turning left. Before doing so, which of these options is best?
Okay, so I think you definitely, I'm going to say B, signal, go back, and then merge left when it's safe to do so.
Correct. Yeah, you got the answer right. This is your $2 bill with the Bike Walk NC and a business card, 2 pins, QR code. Yay! Thank you. Have a great day. What does North Carolina law say about bicyclists riding to arrest, which means like running side by side? These are the 3 possible answers.
The laws say bicycles must ride single file.
Right, and that's what I would think too. But surprisingly, North Carolina does not mention anything about riding side by side or to arrest, so therefore it is allowed. Thank you guys so much. That's all I need. Before posting the videos on Instagram, my task was to craft the intern caption and then send it to Kylie, or outreach person, through text messages for approval. And I think this is a more like time efficient and productive way of sending captions for mobile apps instead of like lengthy and formal emails. And here are some positive feedbacks that I got from the people at Bike Walk. Terry said, Steve's comment today was high praise. I just wanted to reinforce how wonderful the work is. Kylie said, Nia has brought great ideas and energy to the team. And then Steve said, I am excited to see such a level of energy and charisma go into social media produced for such potentially dry topics. And all these comments just fueled my energy and just gave me so much inspiration to create better products. And this is me presenting my products to the Bike Walk Board of Directors, in which I'm not gonna lie, guys, I was really nervous. But turned out like all I got was positive comments. Heidi said, I love the enthusiasm in the video, and Bo said, love it. Can I steal the idea in all caps? And finally, this is a visual demonstration of of the zine that I researched and designed on Canva, about 12 credits. Terry guided me to credible sources for me to do my own research, but then gave me complete creative freedom when it comes to the design aspect. And reflecting on the program, I think one thing I learned is to just talk, and talk. Take the time to get to know people beyond just job titles and tasks, because at the end of the day, coworkers are people too, and as humans, we all yearn for a connection, both personally and professionally. And I think understanding the power of authentic conversation can get really far in life. This is a screenshot of Terry and I's conversation about his personal nostalgia. He was talking about what he would wear back in 1976, his two songs, his style, and the vintage headphones that he used to own back in his day. And one last thing, most importantly, is that I learned that I truly just love remote work. It's more flexible, that there's less commuting, fewer greenhouse gas emissions, saving time and the planet. Count me in, because I am a true sustainability scholar. But before I end my presentation, don't forget to follow BikeWalk NC on Instagram for a prize, and that's at BikeWalk NC on Instagram. I have the $2 bills for you guys, and the BikeWalk pins. Thank you for leading the program and being awesome. Thank you for Nancy for always being there and emotionally supporting us. And of course, huge thanks to BikeWalk. This internship has taught me so much, not just about transportation, but also about how to be creative, flexible, and confident in a remote work setting. Thank you, guys.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all for coming, first of all. I really appreciate, not only me, but me and the rest of the scholars really appreciate you taking the time to come and listen to us. But anyways, my name is Seven. I'm class of 28, perspective environmental studies major. And this summer I had the opportunity to intern for Sustain Charlotte, which, if you're not familiar, it is a small nonprofit organization based in Charlotte that focuses on promoting safe and accessible public transport and smart land use, otherwise known as healthy urbanization. So along with working on smaller projects such as helping plan for the annual party in the park or helping with the visualizations and guides for their annual Oktoberfest, my primary project was to help advocate and educate on the one-set sales tax. So if you have not heard of this tax, if it's voted in November, they will increase taxes by 0.1%, no, not 0.1%. 1%. Yes, 1%. And that 1% is all going to go to transportation. So about $13.7 billion will be generated in the next 30 years. And that 60% of it is going to go into public transportation, which is roads and bus systems and all of that. One of the main projects with that is to build a better rail system. So in Charlotte, we have the blue rail currently, but we also are planning on the red rail, I believe. Anyways, so my main goal was to connect with other organizations, namely Hispanic organizations, in Charlotte to talk about the tax and see how we could get other people in the community to help talk about it and to get more voters in general. Leading to that, I learned a lot about talking to people. As some of my other cohort mates said, what is the word? Oh my god. I'm so sorry, I blanked. Yes, communication, there you go. To me, it was very difficult. Networking, there it is. Networking was very difficult for me. As you can tell, I'm very bad at speaking. And I get very nervous around new people. But for example, this was a day where we got to meet a group of lovely international professionals, a group of 12 people from all around the world who got to hear about Charlotte and they got to hear about their sustainability and where they are from. And I thought it was really interesting to meet such different people. Along with that, as we heard, I learned how to live by myself. I come from a very, I want to say, sheltered family in Texas. So living by myself in an apartment with people I wasn't too close with before, or some that I didn't even know before, was definitely a move. I learned how to cook. I burned myself a few times and have a few scars, and that's okay. We all learn and we grow. I would not only grow as a person, but my love for sustainability and my work also was able to grow, and I was able to finally connect with something I have been passionate about for so long, but have never really been able to, take part in. So before I pass the mic on, I wanted to say thank you to Meg, my supervisor, and the entire Sustain Charlotte team for making this all possible. And then I want to say thank you to Cameron and Yancy, who made Sustainability Scholars possible and helped me get this internship for the summer. It was such a great experience, and I'm eternally grateful to have this.
Hello, I am Jillian Fries. I'm a rising senior at Davidson studying biology and environmental science. Here's me. I realize I'm wearing the same shirt. And this summer I was working with the Catawba Nation down in Rock Hill, South Carolina. So this group of indigenous people have been in this region from South Carolina all the way up through North Carolina and Virginia, the Piedmont region, for at least 6,000 years. And specifically this summer, I was working with the Catawba Nation Division of Natural Resources with Marvin and Courtney, who are over at the far corner. It's been just so great to work with them. Some of my primary projects this summer have been working with Schweinetz's sunflower, which is an endangered sunflower species from the Piedmont region, and Georgia aster, which is a threatened species. In this picture, you can see an example of Schweinetz's sunflower growing in native prairie land. And then also, I worked a lot with wildlife monitoring programs, doing a bunch of really cool stuff that I'll talk about a little bit later. First, I want to talk about sunflowers and asters. So stage one of this project was growing them in the Davidson College growth chambers with the help of Professor Susanna Vaudemeyer. Here you can see an example of some of the sunflowers that I've been helping keep alive. And then our next stage is planting at the Catawba Nation. This picture shows an example of some sunflowers that are already established on the Catawba Nation Black Snake Farm. In the picture, you can see Marvin. He was at this stage, we were actually leading a tour for some high schoolers. It was just very amazing to share what the Catawba Nation Natural Resources Department has been working on with people in the community. And so hopefully the main goal of this project is to restore our native prairie land. Here you can see the blue is Georgia aster and yellow is Schweinetz's sunflower. They're both beautiful, and I hope to be involved with this as we move forward to see this project to its completion. And then this slide is a big conglomeration of so many different wildlife monitoring projects that I've been working on this summer. I have been working on catching and tagging eastern box turtles. I've also been doing a lot of work with stationary and mobile surveys for bat calls, and I've been able to run them through this amazing software, Sonobot. I had no idea it existed, but it's really cool because it shows an entire sound profile of the bat that's calling, and you can basically go through and ID it, and then we send it into the North American Bat Monitoring Program so that they can have that data moving forward for the region. And then I also was part of a big project that the Catawba Nation is doing, focusing on spider lily restoration. So we went and we gathered spider lily seeds from Lansford Canal, and that's the biggest the biggest population, I think, in the world. They're growing there, and what we're doing is basically trying to gather these seeds and move them along the Catawba River to try to, again, restore them in their their natural range. And then I also worked with this program, Wildlife Insights. We basically have a lot of wildlife cameras set up along the reservation, on the main reservation, but then also on the Catawba Nation's hunting property. And I was able to go through and look at the pictures and basically ID the species. And it was really cool because you get to catch a lot of really cool species on the cameras. And then for my program reflection, it was just so amazing to work with the Catawba Nation Division of Natural Resources with Marvin and Courtney. They're doing a lot, and it's just the two of them right now in the wildlife biology field there, and so they're doing a bunch of different projects, and it was so great to be able to be a part of this. As someone who wants to go into that after Davidson, I feel like I got a really a good foundation for field work, and I really like it. Kind of solidified my passion for what I want to do. And then also like through the Sustainability Scholars Program, it was so great to be able to continuously be in contact with my fellow scholars, like when we had our Friday excursions, and get to see what my fellow scholars are doing, but then also what other community organizations and nonprofits in the greater Charlotte area are doing in terms of sustainability. And lastly, I want to say thank you to Cameron and Nancy for putting on this program. It's been so amazing. I'm so glad that I got to do it before my senior year, because I think that that's setting me up really nicely to what I can focus on moving forward. And then I also want to thank Marvin and Courtney for helping me with my internship. And I want to thank all of my fellow sustainability scholars. It's been so great to talk with you and get to know you better. And I hope that I'll see you this coming year.
Okay, thank you guys so much for sticking with us through this presentation. I'm Kara, I'm going to bring us home today, so let's wrap it up. Like I said, my name is Kara, I'm a rising senior here at Davidson, and this summer I had the pleasure of working with Crescent Communities. They are a real estate development company in Charlotte, so let's talk about it. My primary project this summer was researching 2 different sustainability certifications for their River District development that they're working on right now. It's out by the airport. It's this huge master plan project that's making a lot of progress right now. And yeah, if you're in the Charlotte area, you've probably heard of it. So if you're familiar with LEED, that's kind of one of the more common building certifications we see on a lot of buildings. These are similar, but also very different. I was looking into Fitwell for communities, which is really about tenant health and wellness, and then sustainable sites, which is really about infrastructure, everything that's happening on the ground. And I would love to talk to you more about these. If you're interested, come find me. I've gotten really into them over the course of the summer because I've done a lot of research on them. So feel free to ask me any questions. Yeah, and I had the pleasure of pitching them to the development team. So I'm excited to see if we end up going with any of them. We'll find out. And I would say that pitch was my main project. I got to do a lot of other smaller things. Erica really put in the work to set up kind of like field trips, I guess, for me. I got to go to a volunteer event. I got to visit a lot of different construction sites. We got to tour like the CATS transit site, which was really cool, where they work on all the buses. But I would have to say that my favorite thing that I got to kind of tag along with was meetings with different nonprofits who kind of Erica came to Crescent, and we just get to listen to what they need and listen to what's going on in the community, and think about how, when you have this ability to like help people, how do you make it work with your own goals and your own needs? And it was just really interesting to get a small glimpse into that process. And these are 2 of the nonprofits we met with, the Dream Center and Queen City Family Tree. So yeah. And just a short program reflection, working for Crescent, I was a little bit nervous on 2 levels at first. I have no background in real estate development. I didn't really know. Yeah, so I was definitely nervous because I was like, I'm not going to know the lingo. I was Googling a lot of acronyms. I was just really getting caught up, which I could have done without Erica, kind of holding my hand through some stuff. And I was also really curious, like, how are we going to see sustainability and how is this going to work in a real estate development company? Because those things kind of seem incompatible at first, but honestly, I can't give a big enough shout out to Erica. And as Department of One, like her passion for her work and her energy is really amazing. And she has been such an example of how you can promote sustainability both in your personal life and your professional life. So that's my thank you right now to you. And on a personal note, I'm a rising senior, and doing this program and spending the summer at Davidson was really, really meaningful for me. I have so much love for this school and this community, and just being here for those 2 extra months out of my 4 short years here was just really meaningful. And I just love this community and getting to spend time here. I had never met Yancy or Cameron, so I got to know them. I got to know new scholars who I just had never interacted with before. And yeah, I just got to grow some deeper roots in this community, which was really, really amazing. So thank you to both of you as well. And just to echo the gratitude that you've heard us express throughout all our presentations, you can read a little bit more about that in these cards, which will be right here for you. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening to all these short glimpses into our summers. I'm gonna hand it back over to Cameron.
All right, so one final thank you. Let's do one more round of applause for our 2025 sustainability. And I have to give a shout out to our partners one more time, our host organizations. This program truly would not function. It would not be possible without your time, energy, mentorship, all of that. So let's give another round of applause. Well, that's all we got, folks. Like I said, we've got the room for another little stretch of time here, so stick around if you can, chat with people, ask the students questions. Sounds like there's some willingness there. Maybe get some free goodies, follow some Instagram pages, all that good stuff. But thank you all for being here. Grab some food. We really enjoyed, this summer with all of you, and today celebrating another great summer of sustainability stuff. Thanks, y'all.
Yeah, let's see how the fun. Runs through the weekend of Yeah. No, only 800's on Congress and Trump. 200 is on us.
Yeah, you got to come to WFE.
Yeah. So my final internship before I got hired, or before I graduated college, so summer before my senior year. First, so was at the Miami Herald, and in the summer of 2008, when you were 4, I suppose. I mean, it was like the total newspaper crash, and they closed the bureau that I was interning in while I was interning there. So everybody got there. And I don't mean like metaphorically everybody. Like I think 2 or 3 people stayed and got moved to others, but like they were just like, "Hey, you're interning at the Broward Bureau." Like, great, 4 weeks in. I mean, I was only there for 10 weeks, so you know, it was like I kind of just finished it out.
Well, when I started
Yeah. My editor he took me to Publix because he was Florida, and he was like, "Look, man, you're young. You should learn a useful skill like digging ditches or something." He was like, "You know what?" He was like, "I'm old. I got a house, and kids. Like, if I were young like you, man, I would just like go to somewhere where shit's happening, like the border." Just like find stories. And I was like, "Okay, Sergio, I think you're a little depressed right now. I'm not going to take your advice seriously." You know what? Now he's the news director at WLRN in Miami. Yeah. Everybody should leave Florida.
I mean, that's what Gerard did. He seems happier.
Mm-hmm.
Got out of Florida.
All right, well, I'm going to bounce. I've got to finish pound. Yep, I got to finish. I've got it. Yeah, we'll post that next week. I'll let you know. Yeah. But yeah, keep in touch.
When I get back.
Sorry.
Eli, good to see you.
Good to see you again.
Thanks for coming, man.
On social media.
Yeah, very good.
When I get back.
Want to say hello in person. Zach, I know I've sent you some harsh emails.
Oh.
And I'm passionate about it. If you guys need anything on the planning commission, I serve on the planning commission for the city. So, you got a problem with the parcel or
I forgot to end the live stream.
I'm working on a story right now about
YouTube. So we can see now. Yeah. We'll see what the quality is, but we'll have some documentation.
pitching right now and trying to educate my planning commission about this year for the we know exactly
We're close. Yeah. Feel free to always send any meeting email on my way.
Glad to be a part of the
Yeah, absolutely. My email address should be all easy to find online. I don't usually text no like name and staff like here.
awesome job.
But I was like, that would be really fast because like last couple of months before this is like 3 months ago. I think I was like, I mean, when I think maybe I get. The campus basketball playing people, what's going on? I was like, I don't know who's on my calendar. Well, it's like, so at that time I was on whatever the finance and personnel. I was really like, I was that committee when I was younger. And then what it really came down to is nobody had told me that I was trustee. It was the faculty liaison. And then I think I just actually come because I was like, so I got this invite about this event a month before, and I went to it and meet all the this call. I don't attend this thing. These guys from accountants here. I mean, they have every person. This is on some show. Here's what 5 stations. This is not like you guys pondering this. This is like you're throwing all these people. And it sounded like they could do that for all the towns and for Charlotte. Like, these people remember our savings for our service.
I think she also put
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to think of it. I think the people who vote against it will be random. It's hard to like build a coalition. Yeah. I mean, when Andrew and I taught that local party, I heard so much about how things work. You know, in this state, it's yeah, it's not it's Dylan's role now. Like, you can't put something about like that unless you get to the state, right? In fact, I learned this partially because it's still trying to check out stormwater. And stormwater fees exist in North Carolina at the bill of General Assembly was like, oh, like, these 6 counties flood a lot during storms. Okay, here's a law that says if you guys want to charge stormwater fees, that fixing the problem you can. And then it also says like you can only spend them on stormwater, and that creates this like all these other incentives. Fucking money that has to be year, and that law. Like what they mean by only by stormwater not testing reports, because until you do like education program, you do and that like those you don't learn for reports. So it's kind of the same thing with this. It's like give a state to tell us that we can charge ourselves for water transportation. We have to go through the state, and that involved. I would say the state paying more roads, right? Like I think the counties per 21 buses, 60% on trains, 20% on roads, and we had to like a lot more roads. And so I think the far left was like cranky about that.
Yeah.
And then I think city council was like